So we are all set for the third match of this tournament between Bangalore and Hyderabad. And as always, the team who wins the toss has decided to bowl first, which means that Hyderabad has won the toss and they have decided to bowl first. So, what is the team combination for both the teams? Let's have a look. For Hyderabad, it's the usual combination of Warner and Bairstow opening. A few weeks ago, they were in opposite teams with Manish Pandey, Priyam Garg, Vijay Shankar, and a couple of all-rounders in Vijay Shankar and Mitchell Marsh, with a couple of fast bowlers in Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Sandeep Sharma, and of course the performers of the 2020 Junior Cricket World Cup, which includes Priyam Garg. So it's going to be a very interesting situation as to how the team responds. Will it be a hat trick of teams winning the toss, bowling first, restricting the batting team to 160 and then chasing down that and then restricting the total? Yesterday, it was a different story. The match was tied and then Delhi won by pure luck. But can Bangalore get off to a good start? That is the question we ask every year. Every year, it's the same question. Can Bangalore do it? Can they have that pedigree? Do they have that pedigree to go and do the job? Well, that is something we will know very soon. So I will be back after a couple of minutes once the match starts. So we are back live now. Just 30 seconds to go for the match to start. It's going to be very interesting as to how the teams respond. Batting first, it hasn't worked for the three teams so far, except for yesterday's luck for Delhi, who batted first and defended the score, and they won by a whisker. Very interesting as Bhuvneshwar Kumar returns to this sport after a gap of 6 months. Well, 6 months ago, he was struggling with injuries. So before we say that this lockdown period has been a
It's
negative
1930.
one for most players, I would feel that it's a win-win situation because everybody has recovered from whatever small injuries they had. And that's the most important part in this. But let's see what happens. And imagine if Kohli and Warner, who like being aggressive, They weren't sports athletes, means if they weren't cricketers, they would have been footballers, but they don't have that football skeleton in them. So the first ball to the debutant, well, technically it's not a debut. If you have already played this format in the domestic format, which is of course the unrecognized domestic format in India, that is what we call the T20 tournament, for me, there is not much of a difference between the two formats. There is no separate IPL career. I don't go with that. If you have played it, you have played it. And anyways, you are playing in front of an empty stadium, and they know what it's like to play in front of an empty stadium. So, would you ask me there's much of a difference? No. They play like this for their domestic teams. Well, this is in a way also a domestic team. But let's get back to the match. 2 balls, 0 runs, and by the looks of it, the ball is keeping low. So if Bangalore can get to anywhere between 150 and 160, the game's in their hand. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar to Padikkal as a wide comes across, and this time he flashes outside and he misses. So is he nervous? Well, you would be nervous if you're playing for a team, whether you're playing for your domestic team or the international team or any such situation. And of course, the question will be, should Kohli open? Should he come at number 3? This is a debate which never ceases to end. It just carries on and on and on. And once again, this time it's flicked away and they will get a single. It was flicked away to mid-off and they finally get a single, the teams. Very well done. Now it's Aaron Finch on the other side. Remember, the captain of the other team is his teammate. And Johnny Bairstow is Warner's opposition a couple of weeks ago. So this is how this kind of tournaments are interesting. 10 days ago, you are playing with the same team. You have your limitations. If you can have the same number of players in the team, here there are no limitations. Here it's more about the icon than the usefulness of the player. So Finch to Bhuvneshwar Kumar to Finch. How will this go on about? Played away, and that's just defended. So good bowling. That was played to mid wicket. So far, a quiet start. Last ball of the over, and once again a dot. So end of the first over, Bangalore Sunrisers are 2 for 0. Remember, this is not, if you remember, before Hyderabad became a team, they were coming in on as Deccan Chargers. And coincidentally, the captain of that team was also an Australian. And Rohit Sharma's career was launched from there. So can Padikkal also do the same? It was Aaron Finch. There was Herschel Gibbs in that team 11 years ago. There was Rohit Sharma, who was that new young bowler who was coming across, new young batter who had been a part of the team. Nobody took Rohit Sharma seriously 13 years ago. And now we cannot have a team without Rohit Sharma. So that's the irony of the whole thing. So the second over is going to be bowled. The first over was evidently quiet. And how will Bangalore respond now? A slow start. This time, he has decided to take the aerial route and he starts off with a memorable boundary. That was played, it was short, he gave himself room and it was played over cover, played over square leg since he's a left hander. It was a good shot. He had enough of waiting, you don't have time, just a bit short on the length, and that's played beautifully over mid on towards the region, towards the deep mid wicket region for a boundary. How will the bowler respond? This time, straight to the fielder and no runs. And once again, it's Warner who does the fielding. So 6 runs, 8 balls. As we see the debutant announcing his intentions to show that yes, I can play and my selection will be justified. And there would be no repeat of the first two matches that the team batting first had to work hard. This time it's flicked away and that's gone for a second boundary on the pads. Easy pickings for a left-handed batter, and that's played beautifully through fine leg for four. Beats fine leg with fielding restrictions on the pads. Easy pickings for a left-hander. As I said, no crowds. This individual can presume that he's playing one of those many unrecognized 20-over tournaments. A crowdless match has its advantages. They're not worried about performance. Nobody is there to judge them. This time, once again, edged and past the keeper, and that's brilliantly fielded, and they will get 2 runs. Normally, these edges go for 4, but it seems as if the bowler was awake down there. It was edged past Johnny Bairstow. No slips. Once again, questionable decision by Warner. Why no slips? You might be the match might be slipping away from you if you don't have slips. This time, smash, brilliantly fielded, and they get a single, a bit of misfield. Would I call that a misfield? No. What defines a misfield? How do you say it's a misfield? Well, if the ball comes to you, it hits you on the knee and it ricochets. You cannot call that a misfield. They're, after all, human beings. Can't expect them to be robots that they'll field every ball. But let's see what happens. This is how we analyze individuals: a drop catch, a misfield here, a misfield there, and then a brilliant fielding. Anything is possible in this game, whether it's 50 overs, 20 overs, test matches, or anything else. This time, Aaron Finch walks down the pitch and appeal for LBW, and it's probably going down leg. They will not risk going for DRS as they have only one left. It will be a risk. And it seems as if time's up and they are not going for the DRS. So 13 runs in 2 overs, a good start. A couple of streaky boundaries, streaky shots by the debutant. Well, you're no longer a debutant if you have played enough. For me, making debut in this tournament is no different than making your debut once you play for your domestic side. Once you have done that, that's how it is going to be. So Aaron Finch and Rashid Khan playing for opposite teams. They do that even in the Australian domestic league. Finch plays for a similar team, Melbourne Renegades. Rashid plays for Adelaide Strikers. And if we were to ask these players if there was a match tomorrow between Adelaide Strikers and Hyderabad, which team would Adil Rashid play for? Well, you guessed it right. He would obviously go for the Indian team. Well, swing and a miss. So he has been given the instructions, just hit every ball. Don't think too much. Don't let the match situation get to you, because that is not how it works. Well, that's a beautiful shot by Particle. He is doing what he is supposed to do. It doesn't make a difference how the boundaries are scored, as long as you get the boundaries outside edge, inside edge, streaky shots. That's how this particular format is supposed to be played. So Bhuvneshwar ready to bowl the fourth ball of the third over, and this time it's flicked away, and they will probably come back for 2 runs. No, 1 run. Smart batting. So Finch still not getting the runs, but his younger opening partner has got 17 of the 18 runs. And of course, Finch, who had his troubles in England as they played the 50 and the 20 over format with the ball swinging, well, he will face the same issues here with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and his bowling partner will look to swing the ball and try to bring the ball in for that LBW or bold. And this time, short, wide, and once again, brilliant fielding by the Hyderabad players. And who was that? Well, that was another debutant, Natarajan. This time it was short, wide, and was played to third man, but excellent fielding positions. As I said, Warner and Finch are teammates. They know each other. They know who plays where, and that's how you take advantage of being teammate in one team and opposing in other. This time it's played quietly. So not trying to be too aggressive, trying to make sure that they can get over the 2 overs, 3 overs, 20 runs, 0 wicket. According to me, it's a very good start. It doesn't look like a fast start. We don't have to be 40 runs in 3 overs all the time. There's a bit of a break as we enter the fourth over, and it's probably time. And by default, Warner will try to bring Rashid Khan
It's
as soon as
13:45.
the power play is complete. So there's a bowling change. Natarajan has been given the ball. So left arm fast bowler bowling to a left-hander means if he bowls short and wide outside the off stump, the fast bowler will the batter will take advantage. So he will want to bowl to the left-hander, trying to bring the ball in. So a lot of dividends today for both these teams. And this time, as always, Patikal tried to give room to himself, and Trajan bowled it outside the off stump, and there was a swing and a miss, and he completely missed. It's not his debut technically, it's his seventh match, but you never know what happens. Once again, that smash, and it's beaten the fielder this time. Well, Pandikal is doing the job he is supposed to do, and if you can beat someone of the caliber of Rashid Khan, then you have done a great job. It was short on the leg stump and he swivels across, and this was always traveling to the boundary, to the square leg region. And that's a good start. 21 or 15. Well, I think he's earned his right to be in the team, and he's given a thought to the captain that maybe he will be that long-term opener for India also. This time, that's gone. Four more over cover. He is doing the job. He doesn't look nervous. 25 runs out of a total of 28. That's almost 80% of the runs scored. This is really smart batting by this debutant. Doesn't look like as if he's playing this for the first time. As I said, once you have played this, it's the same bowler you face in the other domestic tournaments. And of course, the bowler is also a debutant. And as I said, if he bowls outside the off stump, he will go for his shots. This time that's played, the ball coming in, that's defended. So the score is 28 for no loss after 3.4 overs, and it's time for a short break. We are back after a short break, and this time three boundaries in a row. Excellent start by Bangalore, the kind of start they were looking for after they were asked to bat first. But remember, even Mumbai got off to Bombay Indians got off to a similar start, and then they collapsed. So there's a lot of things that can happen. So let's not get too excited with this start. Of course, it's a good effort by the batter, trying to make sure that the people who will eventually come and score those runs, they need that cushion of a start. And that's how it happens. That's how the cookie crumbles. So two more overs left in the power play and another bowling change. The all-rounder Mitchell Marsh has been given the ball. Well, that's an interesting change by Warner. But let me tell you, he's an Australian captain. He will go to Marsh before he goes to a spinner. He could have easily gone to Rashid Khan or any other bowler, but an Australian begets an Australian. And remember, Marsh plays for Perth Scorchers in their own domestic tournament. But that's for some other day. Let's enjoy this for now. And Marsh, well, typical to an all-rounder, well, he seems to be in deep trouble as he feels as if his ankle is not responding. He seems to have some kind of ankle trouble, some calf trouble. Well, will he bowl the full 5 overs? Will it be a repeat of what happened yesterday when Ashwin had to go off after picking up? Well, he slipped. Well, that's something that the groundkeepers will have to take care of. You cannot just, or as one would say, it slipped. I won't blame the batter for this, as the team doctor comes to check, because it was a hard slip on a hard ground and it can jerk your ankle and your knee, and there's a lot of pressure put on the knee by a fast bowler. Well, he doesn't look to be in the best of shape to bowl the other 4 balls, which puts Warner in a soup. Who will be bowling now? Will he be forced to bring Rashid Khan? Well, Rashid Khan has been, as always, being preserved for the post-power play overs. Well, let's see what happens. It's a difficult thing to understand right now. But so far, the hero of the match so far has been the debutant Devdutt Padikkal. It seems as if Sean Marsh will continue. It was a nasty slip, but he seems to have recovered. He's still struggling, but if he can get through this over and he can go off and get bit of repair work done on that slightly tweaked ankle. Let's see. He won't be bowling at 140. He will probably be having a shorter run up and he'll be just bowling to complete the over. And if he doesn't, and if his ankle doesn't respond, he'll probably bowl those short deliveries and it will be taken to the cleaners. Well, let's see what happens. He could pick up a wicket. He could bowl a short ball. He could pick up a wicket. He could go for runs. And as always, he bowls these 4 balls and he's off the ground. He will have to go and get some repair work done. Well, the captain must have told him we don't have too many options as far as, well, as I said, the bowler bowls poor delivery. He bowls it straight and Padikkal takes advantage. Well, it's such a game where you can predict what's going to happen even before you know what's going to happen. Marsh was struggling. He bowls on that length and Padikkal says, thank you so much. Straight as a ramrod over the bowler's head, and nobody is ever there in that fielding position. We know that the batters hit. Why don't they keep a fielder there? It's such a predictable situation. They should keep a fielder there. You know it happens. It happens every day, every match. Don't have to plan too much. Well, Marsh doesn't look happy. He's bowled 4 balls and he doesn't look happy with his ankle. Just like Ashwin, you can see that expression on his face and he will probably be going off. You cannot risk him further. He may get some repair work done. He may never be a part of this tournament again. You can see that grimace on his face. He is not unhappy. It's a very similar situation to as what happened with Ashwin, but Ashwin luckily picked those 2 wickets. So Marsh goes off and Warner says, what do I do now? I am clueless. Well, there must be some kind of plan B, knowing that what happens when your fast bowling all-rounder goes off. And I don't blame the batter. I do blame the groundkeepers for having such a hard pitch where the bowler slips. Of course, the groundskeeper will have to look after the ground It's not as he slipped because you wanted to slip. It happened. Is it the quality of the shoes, or is it just the shoes and the ground combining? Or was there a bit of a rough landing or a wrong landing? One doesn't know, but these are some of the analysis which will be done by the coach and the team management to see what can be done. Well, he's off now. Two balls. Who will bowl the other two balls? I'm very curious. Does he have a plan B, Warner? It looks like he does. He is giving it to Vijay Shankar, the other all-rounder. So he had a plan B, which means Vijay Shankar will be that designated all-rounder to bowl the other 3.5 overs. This time, swing and a miss. What happens now? I have no idea. Well, there you go. That's a tight no ball. That's a very well. His foot is outside the line, and we have the third umpire calling the no ball. So obviously there would be no mistakes. And when Marsh goes and Aaron Finch gets a free hit, and this might just get the juices flowing. How often does this happen? You get a free hit, a batter is struggling to score runs, a free hit comes your way, almost like it's a scripted situation. A free hit comes your way, and you take advantage of this, and suddenly, after 5 overs, Bangalore are 45 for no loss, going at nearly 9 runs per over. In fact, there could be another no ball. Wow, that's just freebies being dished out to Aaron Finch. Aaron Finch will say, "Thank you, Mr. Vijay Shankar, and thank you, Mr. Sean Marsh, for that injury." And this one has been smacked over the top. It will be caught. It's a free hit, so they don't get a run. Well, they get a run, and that ends the over. It doesn't end the over. They get 7 runs of one ball. In fact, they get 8 runs of one ball, two balls. It was short of a leg delivery. Once again, Finch tries to hit. It lands on into the fielder's hand, and they get 7 runs. And suddenly, this partnership is looking threatening. But remember, in that first match, Mumbai were going strong. They were looking to get 190, and then the spinners struck. So the final ball of this over, which has gone for 15 runs already with Padikkal on strike, and it's a wide. Well, when things go wrong, they do go wrong. And it's 47 for no loss, 16 of the over, and Finch will be licking his lips because for sure Rashid Khan has to be employed right now. He's the only guy who can stop this run machine. And that ends the over. That was flicked away to square leg. That ends the over, 48 for no loss. And it's now time for a short break.